Judd Zulgad, Andrew Krammer with you, 1500ESPN.com. Thanks for visiting the website. Week 1 of the NFL season, Andrew, finally here, finally upon us. Vikings at Detroit on Sunday as they open the regular season at Ford Field. Wednesday is always a busy day in the National Football League. Why don't you tell us news, notes, and really as we try and set up the game, what is the mood out here with these guys today? The Vikings, of course, coming off a 10-6 season and a playoff appearance and much higher expectations going into this season than last.
Well, Christian Ponder comes out today and he says, we expect to be in midseason form. So last year's midseason wasn't that great, if you remember. It was really the beginning and the end. So, but obviously that's just a saying for meaning he hopes they're going to be in sync right away, fluid in that offense. It didn't look like that in the preseason, so it'd be really new if we came out and saw that in week 1.
What is the expectation, too? Adrian Peterson's going to play, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Les Frazier joined us on Judd and Dubé today and said there's no pitch count on Peterson now. There was at the start of last season. There was X amount of carries, and then he was going to be taken out. That's not going to happen on Sunday. Expectations now with this whole offense put together. Obviously, the Vikings are saying all the right things about having seen things in training camp that fans and media did not necessarily see during preseason games. But what is the expectation for week 1 from this offense with Peterson healthy and a passing game that we still don't know much about?
Well, there's a lot of talk, obviously, about the Detroit Lions front defensive line. They're one of the best in the league. So going up against that, getting a great test of this offensive line that's returning all 5 people. I think there's a great expectation right now of this offense hitting in stride, at least in the run game, obviously. You have all 5 offensive linemen back, Adrian Peterson doing what he does. If Christian Ponder can just manage the game right away, it really seems like that's what they want him to do. They're not going to ask him to go out there and start slinging it like maybe we saw a little bit in the preseason because they wanted to try that. I don't think they're going to try that anymore here in the regular season. So I think they're just going to try and see Adrian Peterson running the game, hopefully getting the lead, and then Ponder coming in and managing that.
Our first chance to talk since roster cuts, and I will say this, I've covered this team for a long time. These roster cuts this past weekend were about as boring as they get. When you're talking about Stephen Burton being a main roster cut, you were talking about not that exciting of cuts in the system. However, what we did see was on Sunday, Jamarcus Webb picked up by the Vikings. Jamarcus Webb, their swing tackle, left and right tackle now. That clearly means the Vikings were not happy with what they got backup offensive line-wise. And it is interesting, Andrew, the offensive line as a whole, I thought, in the preseason didn't play incredibly well, as we have people, as you can see, moving right behind us. It's not live, but it's as good as live. But I think what we saw was backup-wise, this team definitely not happy with what they got from their tackles behind Loadholt and Khalil.
Yeah, they, like you had said before, in the preseason, Khalil committing 2 penalties against Buffalo, whether it was giving up sacks or missed snaps. We saw plenty of times in the preseason as well, botched snaps. So this offensive line is a lot of. It seems like it's got a lot of work to do, but you know they know how to play it together. So I think it's just getting those jitters out of the way, coming back after 9 months of not putting the pads on. So we'll see what they can do on that end. But as you talked about, they brought in Jamarcus Webb now. They weren't happy with Brandon Keith. They weren't happy with their 7th-round pick and Travis Bond, who didn't seem to come along as fast as the coaches wanted him to. So now he's on the practice squad. We'll see what Jamarcus Webb can do. But hopefully the plan is obviously that he doesn't play a snap.
Big injury update for Sunday's game. Kevin Williams, my guess after getting hurt against San Francisco in 3rd preseason game, Andrew, is that he won't play. If he doesn't play, Sharif Floyd is coming off a minor knee procedure done during training camp. Where's he at? Because the rookie is clearly going to have to play some substantial minutes if Kevin can't play.
Yeah, he was out there today in practice just now. Frazier had said we're going to take a long look at him today to kind of gauge how much can he actually play in this first ever real NFL game. This is a big deal for him. This isn't Christian Ballard coming in, who again hasn't been seen around the facility.
I was going to ask you about Christian Ballard. Where is Christian Ballard? This was your chance, Christian Ballard.
Where in the world is Christian Ballard? Nobody knows. He hasn't been seen on a field with the Vikings since August 9th in that preseason opener. He hasn't been seen at a practice facility since that week after. So it's almost been a month now. So no one knows where he's at. Frazier kind of talked about it today. He kind of acted like, listen, look, we got to move on as if he's never going to return. So if he doesn't, this is going to be the game plan. Sharif Floyd comes in, takes a lot of reps from Kevin Williams, who's still rehabbing that knee that was injured against the 49ers. So Floyd is looking like he's doing all right in practice, but when the bullets start flying, that's when we'll see.
Your best guess, Kevin plays or doesn't play?
I don't think he does. I think you got to hold him out because he's too old. He's 33 years old now. There's no sense in throwing him against one game in the Lions.
Then? Because you got Sharif Floyd would play. He would have to play.
Chase Baker, and they also talked about playing. They also talked about playing LaTroy Guion and Fred Evans at the same time on the line. Now remember, at one point Guion was the backup to Kevin Williams, and they tried to switch him to that one technique. So they're going to try and now. Put him back at what he used to be, the 3 technique, and have Fred maybe at that 1. So maybe you see Guion and Evans on the line at the same time, and then you have Sharif coming in.
We are running out of time here, but before we go, Antoine Winfield has retired from the National Football League. Surprised everybody. He was going to be cut by Seattle. He said, I'm done. Now, the reports are this. Winfield has a house in Eden Prairie. I think his wife and his son, who goes to Eden Prairie High School, were going to be in Eden Prairie for the season, but now the report is that Winfield's son and the family has returned to Houston. Leslie Frazier says at some point in time he's texted Winfield. He's going to reach out to Winfield, realistically being around this team on a daily basis. Andrew, what do you think the odds are that they not just only reach out to Winfield, but actually make a hard push to say, come back for one season?
Well, from what Frazier...
And you won't practice.
Yeah, exactly. But what Frazier had said today was it doesn't seem like he's going to try and push Winfield like they did with the Brett Favre when he was going to go into retirement.
Which was Childress, right?
Yeah, exactly, that was Childress. So Frazier's quote was, you don't want to talk a guy out of retirement if that's what he wants to do. So that seems to be the exact opposite take that Childress had when it comes to these things. So I think it's really Antoine's call. If Antoine picks up the phone, the Vikings will listen. If he doesn't, you move on with what you got.
So let's say Stafford and Calvin Johnson have a huge day Sunday against Xavier Rhodes, Chris Cook, and Josh Robinson.
Which can happen.
You got to think
Yeah.
the calls would become more frequent to Antoine at that point, though, don't you?
Maybe.
They're going to have to see what they have there, but it's
Maybe they just
scary.
look in the free agent market elsewhere for other people, but
Hard to find corners.
Yeah, exactly,
though. Oh
exactly.
My gosh, so hard to find corners.
Yep, we'll see. But I mean, yeah, if it comes out and what they have right now and the 5 cornerbacks doesn't work, maybe they pick up the phone a little bit more.
All right, and he's Andrew Krammer, covers the Vikings. Check out his work, 1500ESPN.com. I'm Judd Zulgad. You can hear me with Jeff Dubé weekdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 1500 ESPN. We'll be doing plenty of these videos throughout the season, and as you can see, there's a lot of excitement behind us. We had some boxes behind us. We had people going to lunch. I mean, this is just great stuff.
Bustling.
I'm Zulgad. He's Krammer. Thanks for coming to ESPN.com, 1500ESPN.com, and watching our video. And now you're going to see my finger.